Hey y'all, it's Krypton Critics. I'm here to review Luke Cage Season 2. Show features Mike Coulter, Alfred Woodard, Simone Missick, Mustafa, Shakir, Thea Rossi, Gabriel Dennis, Reggie Cathy, rest in peace, and Rosario Dawson. Um, I was definitely a fan. I've been a fan of all the Netflix Marvel shows. I thought Luke Cage was very interesting. I really liked the character of Mariah, and I liked seeing Luke again. I previously had saw him on Jessica Jones, and I think this season, the second season, definitely digs more into a lot of his insecurities. You know, because these are things that we've been seeing build up. We've seen Jessica Jones Defenders, his own series, where many times he really doesn't know what to do with his life, and especially in like the first half of the season, and it's towards the end, you know, that's like the number one thing on his mind. He flip flops, deciding if he's going to be, some kind of suppressor, to have justified ends and the means to help Harlem, or he's going to try to be the hero that only does what's absolutely necessary. Um, as much as Luke does get a lot of development, I think many times I felt like this was the show for Mariah and Shades. Um, I wasn't a big fan of their romantic relationship. Um, there's nothing against these actors that actually like damn good, especially Alfred Woodard. She's amazing actress. You believe everything that she says, and her character goes into like some really deep, like depression and just like freaking out. She eventually she loses it, but just like before, she is the head of Harlem Paradise. The big fancy nightclub that everybody in the mama likes to go to in the show, and we learn more that uh, well, there's a villain that comes in named Bushmaster, who's like this Jamaican cat, and there's a bunch of Jamaicans in this show. If anyone is like very sensitive to Jamaican stereotypes, I would stay away from the season because there is a shit ton. Bob Marley, check. Marcus Garvey mentions check. Usain Bolt mentions check. Marijuana, check. Reggae, check. References to rum and curry goat. It's everywhere, man. And they speak with a heavy accents. Sometimes, especially a lot of typical Americans might need some subtitles, but it will not keep up with some of the words. Like if they say brethren, which basically means like family or good friend, they'll just say brother. Like they don't even try. They don't even try to write down the way they actually said the word. It's almost like they have a translator for the language that they technically are speaking in any way, but just a different way. Um, just like before, music is off the chain. They have the jazz influences, the R&B influences, hip hop. Funk. It's all there. It all helps tell the story. Um, like last season we had Method Man actually do a song about Luke Cage. He appeared on Sway in the Morning. We do hear the voices of Heather and Sway quickly, but more focus is put on like artists like Jadakiss, Faith Evans, Ghostface Killer, and one of the greatest rappers alive, Karis One. Um, Now, Bushmaster heals very similarly to Luke Cage. He has to have nightshade be put on his wounds, and then he can heal. The bullets don't bounce off of him; it just kind of stops, and he has to like pull them out. Very much like Logan and the Wolverine movies and all that. And you know, for a while, like they really don't go much into like the past of, um, you know, the villain of Bushmaster, other than he refuses to call Mariah, you know, say Dillard as a last name. He'll say Stokes, um, and he says, you know, Harlem and Harlem Paradise more specifically is his birthright. And you're just like, why does he keep saying this? And you know, we look at him as a little kid, you know, living in Kingston. You know, we see Mama Mabel, you know, the grandmother of Mariah, who heavily affects the way that she thinks and the way she operates. And it was great to see Mama Mabel, because she is whimsically evil bitch, and she's just entertaining to watch every time she's on screen. But we see that Mama Mabel is responsible for the death of his mother, and you know, it was all because, you know, she wanted the rights to Harlem Paradise to continue to make money, and you know, she don't give a fuck because she's a hard ass bitch and she's running these streets. You know what I'm saying? Shades gets quite a bit of development. We understand more of like his motives, and you know how often he'll question people. Towards the end of the series, he becomes a rat to the police. He just gives up at a certain point because Moya goes off the fucking deep end. You know, she sets a man on fire at a restaurant and has her goons just shoot and massacre everybody in this Jamaican restaurant to combat Bushmaster, because she's still very much upset that he burned down a brownstone. You know, it's all bickering. You know, like very much like Hatfields and McCoys, you know, type shit, where you know, family's like, you did this to me, your grandmother did this to me, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna burn you, anything. I just need, you know, the revenge of my family. And you know, this shit gets real deep. We find out Mariah did not raise her daughter. She tries to get back with her, and you're like, okay, you know, she's still like evil bitch, but you know, maybe she can be a good mother. You know, starting over after you know, probably 30 plus years of not being there, but at the same time taken away by Mama Mabel. You know, and we learn why. And to me, this was probably the biggest shock. Well, most emotionally shocking for me. You know, narratively, it makes a lot of sense. It's not something out of left field or anything. But we find out, you know, before, you know, Moya in the first season got mad at Cottonmouth because she said that, you know, she wanted to be molested by her uncle. And now we find out that the uncle is the father of her child, Tilda, who is this herbalist, and she went to learn how to be a doctor, and she provides the nightshade for Bushmaster. At first, he was just a customer, but you know, now it's because more threatening, and you know, if he doesn't get that nightshade, he can't have bullets bounce off of him. Well, not pierced through his entire body. You know, seeing how she has to deal with the mother, and how like destructive, you know, the mother's influence is very interesting. And at first, I thought Tilda was gonna die. I was just like, oh, why are they doing this innocent girl like this? But she turns out, you know, she goes a little bit evil towards the end, and the whole series ends, you know, after everything's said and done. Like, we had a dude named Cockroach beating up his girl, Luke Cage, and nearly kills him. Claire leaves him because he punches a hole through the wall of, you know, her, I believe, her mother's, her crib. You know, he says that he's not controlling and not insecure, and then he punches a hole and gets angry. So completely proves the point. And you know, she's had victimization, you know, of a man that just loses it in her family before, and she doesn't want to see that again. So they have to leave from each other. But obviously Luke stays in Harlem. His T-shirts with his names are selling because of DW, and he's records everything he can. He has the Hero app, letting Harlem know where Luke Cage is, and he's like, brothers helping out in any way possible. There's even some conflict with Misty Knight. In Defenders, Ninja chopped off her arm. So eventually, for like first few episodes, she just has like a nub on the right side. But eventually, Danny Rand is generous enough to give her a robotic arm, and just like in comics, she's rocking an arm and whooping ass with it. I'm like, oh yes, it's totally cool. And I was just like nerd gushing over the whole time, just like, yes, it's so awesome. And it didn't feel like this is like too goofy for the world that we're setting up. It's just enough, comic booky with the realistic. Because that's an interesting dichotomy with all these series. On one hand, you got like the drug rings, and you got like political discourse, and you have like police and planting weapons and drugs on offenders, and you're like, okay, that's some real shit. And people dealing with alcoholism and rape and all that. On the other hand, you got series that involve like dragons being buried underneath ground, and there's like being a big ninja fight, and this main character has bulletproof skin, from chemical testing. So you gotta accept a certain amount of like the comic goofiness. And hell, the first season of Luke Cage has like a dude in like a big, long lost brother in like a snake suit beating up a main character in a barbershop. So you gotta take some goofiness at any point, but the whole point is not to go too far with it. And so far, I don't think they've gone at a point where it's just like, no, stop. To me, I don't think they have ever gone that far. Probably my favorite Easter egg from the show is when Luke has to protect a dude nicknamed Piranha. He's like a rich dude that is a complete like fanboy for Luke Cage and tries to collect everything he can that has been involved in his superheroics. Luke Cage tells him, "Where's my money, honey?" And I knew what that exact comic that came from. That was the comic where Luke Cage, it was a solo series from the 70s. But it was the first one where he really stepped out of like Harlem and went to like the main Marvel universe, and he met Doctor Doom at an emissary and eventually wanted money from him. So he went over to Latveria. Mr. Fantastic gives him a ship, and he goes over there, and what he says to Doctor Doom is, "Give me my money, honey." And when I heard that, I laughed, and it just tickled me so much, and I almost cried. I'm like, yes, that's so awesome. This is why I fucks with you, Marvel. That's why I fucks with you. So Reggie Cathy, rest in peace once again. He plays John Lucas. He plays the father of Luke Cage, and they try to mend, the wounds of their past. Because when Luke Cage was Seagate, and mother, I believe, started dying of cancer, the father believed that he was completely guilty of anything that he was suggested of doing, and blamed him for the mother starting to die. And when I found that out, I'm like, holy shit. And I can understand why Luke wouldn't want to get back with his preacher father all that quick. But just like any good preacher, he drops some real diamonds of information that helps the main character try to understand what his purpose is. Um, you know, I'm not religious, but I thought he, you know, tells stories very well, and that, you know, how he describes having faith in yourself is very important. Um, so Luke Cage, he fights a few times with Bushmaster. First one, he gets, you know, just beaten the fuck up, you know, and wasn't expecting, you know, how fast this dude was. Uh, Bushmaster can really whoop some ass. You know, towards the end of the series, he can just break through a bulletproof wall with his hands and goes after Mariah and Shades and just starts wrecking all kinds of ass. Um, it was interesting to see Misty deal with Nandi, you know, one of the police officers that we find out is, you know, dirty cop. Um, you know, it was interesting to see Shade's relationship with Comanche, and we find out Comanche is, you know, was a rat, and he was working with the police chief that Misty was working with, and so he gets shot. Comanche gets shot by Shades, but you know, Shades cries about it, and you know, he questions more like when it's right to actually kill somebody. Uh, but yeah, like there's so much in this show, and towards the end, you know, Luke, he gets to Harlem Paradise after Tilda kills her mother from prison, poison her, and you know, there's so many like arcs in this. In you know, I appreciate so many of them, and I love how they go into each other. Um, like really, the only thing I wasn't like a big fan of was just the romance between Shades and Mariah. But maybe I'm not supposed to like it because you know they're douchebag villains when you really get down to it. As much as I really do like the characters, especially Mariah. Mariah is one of my new favorite villains in the Netflix shows. I think you know her relationship with Mama Mabel and bringing back Family First and making that initiative and trying to help Harlan the best way she can by, you know, killing people, you know, trying to take away Atrius Plastics and getting involved with Chinese heroin and getting involved with these people who do auction bids. Uh, there's so much is great, you know. Cinematography is you know, always dope, just like any of the shows. I was not expecting to see that Lucy Liu directed the first season. I was like, okay, good for her, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of really great laughs I had. I thought the old woman that lived across from Cockroach in his abused family, I thought she was very funny. She was like old lady, you know, tries to tell Luke what's up, and you know, flirts with him. And when I saw that woman, it made me think a lot about that old woman that was in Coming to America that told Hakeem that I'll marry you, like getting out of the train when you know the love that you know Eddie Murphy's character wanted to be with, you know, initially was rejecting. And she collects the earrings, and she just smiles and gets back on the train. But you know, but this show has some of the best dramatic moments in all the shows. It probably has the best pacing out of most of the shows, because about half of them have a problem where they get to the last 3 episodes and they're like, oh shit, this happens, this dude dies, and you're just like, wait. Well, hold up a minute. Hold up. You know, this show definitely gets an A- for me. You know, there were moments where I was like, "Am I gonna cry?" No, but damn good. I felt, you know, great emotional moments, and the action is dope. Seeing Danny Rand and Luke together, you know, Iron Fist and Power Man, that shit, you know, just took me. And you know, I know a lot of people had problems with Iron Fist, and especially his series. You know, I've been on record saying I like that show, and I really liked, his connection with Luke and everyone being confused when he says I fought a dragon. So it's part of the Crypto Critics. Tell me what you think. I freaking love, pretty much everything from this season. So part of the Crypto Critics. I love you.